and you're tuning in. Yes, and you're being recorded. This is again Farhan coming to you from Singapore, and you're tuning in tonight for the session on US Real Estate Secrets Uncovered. Today is Thursday. We are live. This is not a recorded version of the workshop or webinar that we are doing right now. So those of you who have come in earlier and on time, thank you so much for being there on time. We were waiting for a few more people to come on board, and hope you've been enjoying the tunes that was being played by my team in the background. So thank you, team, for playing the music. And tonight, where we are at is basically we are coming in to you in the month of December. Now it's already midway, 16th of December. And I think a lot of you are probably already getting ready for the year-end holidays and things like that. But you have made the choice and commitment tonight to actually be here to spend a little bit of time. And tonight we're probably going to spending about maybe 1.5 to 2 hours to uncover the secrets of investing in US real estate. And I'm hoping that I can help you get to discover some very interesting facts about US real estate investing. All right. So you guys ready? Okay, if you guys are ready, let me know. Just type in the chat for me. I see a few of you are already in here. Type in the chat for me where you're from. Type in which country you're from. I know because usually we have people from around the region, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Let me know where you guys are from. Kiatisuk, we get one from Thailand. Thank you, Kiatisuk, for coming in from Thailand. Anyone else? Hi, Veronica. You must be from Bali, I know. How about the rest of you guys? Okay, so Linda from Singapore, thank you. How are we going to roll tonight? It's basically we want to make this a very two-way session in order for you to benefit most from tonight's sharing is for you to actually come and turn on your camera if you want to, if you're not shy. Otherwise, you can turn off camera, but interact with me through the chat. I'm sure you are not, this is not the first time you're using Zoom, right? So it'll be pretty easy to navigate around. Feel free to ask me any questions you have in between as well, all right? So we have Kelvin from Malaysia. Thank you, Kelvin, for joining us. All right, so I want to go into the presentation. Give me a moment while I get that set up. Okay. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen. Very simply, let's test Zoom a little bit. If you can see my screen and you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Use the emotion buttons. Give me a thumbs up so I know you guys are hearing me well and good. Okay, great. So let's begin. So tonight, this is Noble Sky International. We've been helping people grow their wealth through US real estate since 2014. So the company has been around since 2014. We've been around 7 years. In January, we'll turn 8 years. And it's going to be very interesting for us because we've come a long way. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit more on that. And in our case, it's been an interesting journey. A lot of people are wondering, like, what is this company, Noble Sky International? Where are we from? What are we doing? And things like that. So just a little quick background. Noble Sky International is a company headquartered in Singapore, all right? And we serve clients and audiences from the Southeast Asian region, mainly Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. We cover Thailand, we have Cambodia and all that. I'll be sharing that with you as well. So this is where we're at. And I want to share with you why you are here tonight, okay? You are here because I would want to share with you the journey that investors have already traveled in Noble Sky, using us as a service provider to help them invest in US real estate. And myself personally, being an investor myself, the strategies I have utilized together with Noble Sky as my support, how we've been able to achieve very good returns. And I hope that's something that's going to help you. Okay, and we are also here today, if some of you are probably wondering, right? Okay, is Farhan here going to sell me anything end of the day? Am I going to be sold a mastermind or coaching or things like that? Well, you can rest assured, you can relax because there is nothing for sale tonight, right? So this is exactly where we're at. There's nothing for sale tonight. It's for you to really see whether this US real estate is something that's going to help you get to where you want to be, all right? So if you want to decide whether you want to stay on, right? We want to stay on through the night and finish this off the session tonight. You got to answer this question yourself, okay? Is this going to be relevant for you? So tonight I'm going to share with you the 3 top strategies that we are using to help you get to your numbers, to your financial goals that you want to achieve, all right? So share with me, if you are now able to invest in US real estate, you're able to achieve great returns, double-digit returns, you're going to make lots of money from there. Is this going to be relevant to you? type in the chat for me. You guys are tuning in, right? Do this with me. Let me know whether this is going to be relevant for you. Is this something, investments in US real estate, is this something what you're looking at? Also, Ketisuk, thank you. Also, let me know, how do you think, if you have found out how to invest profitably and successfully in US real estate, how are you going to apply this to yourself? Let me know. I want to see some kind of responses, so I know where you are at and see whether this is something that we're going to be able to help you with. Okay, so all right. So where do you think, if you know how to invest in US real estate, where do you think you're going to apply this for yourself? To start investing other than stocks and forex. Okay, great. I think that makes sense. So I believe right now you're already in stocks and forex. Thank you, Kiatisu. So how about the rest of you guys? Passive income. Yeah, I like that one as well. How about the rest of you guys? Come on. Hello. Okay. So if you're not answering this, then I hope you're giving it a good thought, because otherwise you may be here to you might be have some other expectations I do not know. Okay, Kelvin wants to find out about distribution of funds in different baskets of investments. Okay, that's something that's interesting. Okay, so that's what you want to apply for yourself. All right, that's interesting. Okay, now let's look at this. If you do find out tonight, as I reveal to you how we invest in US real estate, that's going to give you way better returns than your local real estate. And I think that's something that we're going to look at quite a bit of tonight. What is the value of this? Okay, and by this question, I mean, put a dollar value to what you can, what this is going to be worth to you tonight. Okay, because I want you to understand for yourself, investing in real estate is serious business. It's something that's going to help you grow your wealth substantially. And for yourself, what is that number? Okay, so maybe to make this simpler, is for you to answer this question. Why are you investing? Why are you looking for investments? So for me personally, I'm investing in US real estate for my family, okay, and also for my retirement, because I want to give my family good things in life, right? So I want to do investments that make lots of money, that makes lots of sense, that's stable, that's secure. And because for me, it's my family. And for me, I want to intend to retire by the age of 60 latest, okay? But I'm trying to fast track that age, that retirement age, to 50, which means right now I have about 10 years in my investment runway for me to reach $1.5 million. Okay, so that's my number. How about you guys? What is your number that you want to reach? Kelvin, Kiatisuk, Linda? Secure the family and early retirement. Great, Kelvin. I like that. What kind of numbers are you looking at? If for retirement, what kind of numbers are you looking at? 10K a month. All right, that's a good number. I think that's very, very achievable with your real estate. How about Kelvin, Linda, the rest of you guys? As you can see, Abdullah, Joyanto. What kind of numbers are we looking at for you guys? I want to know. Linda says passive income looking at $1 million. All right, so which means you're saying at retirement, Linda, that you're gonna you want to achieve $1 million. Is that right, Linda? Kelvin, 10K to 12K a month. All right, that's very realistic. Great. Okay, Linda, so I get you. So the rest of you guys do chime in as well. Okay, Muhammad Malim says you're 15K per month. All right, that's a very good number as well. So that, I believe, these are numbers that probably you want to work towards having, that can help you get to a full number that maybe you're referring to, whether it's family or retirement or maybe children's education. So those are the numbers. Great, awesome. Also, I love these numbers, and I hope this is what we're going to be able to help you achieve. All right. So tonight we're gonna we are seeking to solve a few problems when it comes to property investing. But before I get here, share with me, what are some problems that you face when it comes to investing in real estate in your countries? So we have people from Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. So what are some of the problems that you face? Give me just one problem that you think you have an issue with, which is why you're here tonight, right? So what is the problem that you might be facing? Not good returns. Okay. I see. So which means the amount of money you put in to buy property, it's not giving you good enough returns. All right, fair enough. How about the rest of you guys? Ooh. Anyone else? No problems. Very easy to get. Linda says stamp fee very high, not good returns. Okay, great. Unstable economic leading to weak returns. Okay. Well, I'm here quite a number of people talking about good returns, and I hope tonight we're going to be able to help you with this particular issue as well. Okay, so I'm going to help you identify some of these problems. Okay, so these are the most common problems that we encounter when we have people who want to invest in real estate in their countries. In US real estate is the same. So this is the issues that people have. First and foremost is about capital. All right, so people always have this issue because properties generally are big ticket purchases. It's very expensive and they don't have enough capital to buy into one property on their own, right? So if you want to go into the strategy of buying multiple properties, right? You know, we've seen all of the stories of people having multiple properties in their portfolio and they're making lots of money. To get there, you need lots of capital, or a lot of people also use leverage. So we're going to discuss a little bit about leverage later, why that may or may not be a good idea. All right, so we know capital is always an issue. Point number two, how many of you are here tonight because you want an investment that's going to work for you 24/7 round the clock without you having to be there yourself? How many of you like that idea? Because I know for most of us, you are here tonight because, but you are already very busy with your day jobs, right? So having to come in on a Thursday night is like, oh my God, I'm already so tired. I just ended work at 6 or 7 p.m. and then I have to come in at 8 to listen to this webinar. So I hope this is something that you realize for yourself, that when people come into an investment, a lot of the time, what they want is more time for themselves. They're already too busy running a day job, right? Or they have multiple businesses that they're dealing with. The last thing they want is to have more time invested in an investment, right? You guys get me? Right, so give me a thumbs up if you understand. All right, Kelvin, so gotcha, very good. So you understand where we're at. And here's the other point, which is very, very important right now, is the market. So people are looking at real estate is something good, I know, but then there's also other good options, right? What is going on in the market right now? Anyone knows, or is new in the market at least, right? There's so many options these days. Where do you want to put your money? What is an interesting thing going on right now? Can any of you guys just sound out and share with me? What are some of the investment vehicles out there that are very popular these days? Crypto. Crypto, okay, I think Kelvin means crypto. NFTs, NFT is great. Okay, you guys are in tune with the latest things that's going on. Industries, equity, right? Equity has always been around, and that has got to do a lot with the stock markets, for example, Forex, yes. So there's so many options, right? So the question will be, why do you want to look at real estate? What's real estate so interesting about real estate? It's going to help you, deal with all of this volatilities that's going on in the market. So many choices. We need to see, when you want to invest into something, you want to make sure that it makes sense. Okay, it's going to help you get to your numbers, right? So, but this is the biggest problem that we've identified with investing in real estate. Okay, so tonight, if you're in here, definitely you are looking at real estate as an option, right? Because some of you have mentioned you're doing this for your family, some of you are doing this for retirement, you want to get to $1 million, some of you mentioned 12K, 15K a month. So what is that vehicle that could help you get there, right? So real estate has some inherent issues when it comes to buying them, all right? So we are looking at these three countries here, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Reason being, this is the biggest markets we are serving right now when it comes to US real estate, right? So first and foremost, properties in these countries are very inaccessible and debt focused. So a lot of the time, especially in the case of Singapore, those of you who are from Singapore, what was the bomb last night, or rather early this morning, that we received? Any of you heard about the news? In Singapore, it just became a lot more expensive. And I think it's less than 24 hours worth. The news just came out. Nobody gave any early warnings, but we saw the signs. Basically, the government in Singapore has come in to say that we're going to pump in cooling measures because the Singapore market has been climbing so hard. It's so hot now. That part of that cooling measure is to make leverage, or to make the ability to get loans more difficult. Okay, so a lot of the time we are so accustomed to the idea that if you're going to buy property in, whether it be Singapore, Malaysia, or Indonesia, means you put in a deposit and then you need to take up a loan. So that's very, very problematic for most people who want to buy into multiple properties. Point number two, very few discounted options. Most of the time when we want to buy properties, we look at the local listings, we look at the price that it's being listed for, and then we buy at market value. There's no problem in there, but when you buy at market value, there will be issues where you will need to look at potentially whether the market is going to go up or down. If it goes down, you're going to have to wait a long time for the market to recover. Or if you want to make money from the sale of the property, you probably need to wait a few years for appreciation, right? So that's problematic. We want to be able to buy at discounts, at great discounts, and I'll explain to you why that works out. later. Okay, limited, and this is very true. I think for most cases where you want to buy properties, especially in larger countries like Indonesia, like Malaysia, you know, not everywhere there are good properties for you to buy for investment, correct? You wouldn't want to buy in places where there are, it's just in the rural areas or in the villages or in the kampong areas, right? You want to buy probably near the cities, you want to buy places in high growth areas, but these are very limited places that, you know, makes it become very expensive. Properties are limited, good ones are limited, and it becomes very expensive. So it becomes a question of returns, like a lot of you mentioned here tonight. If we are really going to buy these properties, which are the good ones are only in certain areas, and you buy those, it's going to be very expensive, which means your returns are also going to be much lower, right? So that is an issue as well. Low returns, I already explained this, and it comes together. When it's expensive, returns will become a question. Duties payable, which means additional maybe costs or taxes that are included in having to buy properties. You know, a lot of us have to pay stamp duties, stamp fees, the legal fees, and all these that come into play, right? So this adds on to the cost of acquisition in buying a property in your own country. So when that happens, again, it eats into your profitability, it eats into your returns, and you're going to end up with lower returns. And now the question back again would be, will this be good enough? This returns will be good enough to help you get to the numbers that you want. All right. The last point about buying properties in your area, or at least as a foreigner buying into your countries, would be title ownership. So if I was Singaporean and I buy property in Malaysia, which I did, there's very, very low chance for me to even get a title deed or ownership to the land or even to the properties because I'm a foreigner. So, and because of the fact that I will take up a loan, generally I will not see the title deed at all, right? So it's going to be very different with how it works in the US. Okay, so let's examine this situation a little bit closer. Let's take a look at the case in Indonesia, how it's going to look like if you decide to become an investor. You want to become a landlord in Indonesia. Okay, this is a property in apartment Taman Anggrek in Jakarta Central. So take a look at this property. This is a 2-bed, 2-bath, 947 square feet property. We, Noble Skies International as a company, are very familiar with this because this apartment is located just across the road from Pullman Hotel. Pullman Hotel is the hotel that we always go to whenever we enter Jakarta to run workshops about US real estate. Okay, so we have stayed here a number of times, and this is the number. These are the numbers that we have done for this property and for you to have a look. So if you want to be a landlord here, you want to be you want to buy a unit in here, it's going to cost you US $181,000. All right. And for you to own this, you'll need to put down a minimum 30% deposit. So this is going to be the amount 54.3. And then if you take up a loan for the rest, 70%, it's pretty clear, right? So the loan is going to come up to $1,500 a month. Okay. So what kind of returns are you going to be getting? Rental returns are you going to be getting? Rather, it's going to be $500 a month. All right. So at this stage, let me see if you guys can figure this out. Write in the chat for me. Looking at these numbers, is this a positive cash flow for you or a negative cash flow for you? If you were to be an investor in this property, if you were the landlord, type in the chat for me. Right. Katie Suk says negative, right? Minus, negative. Right. Great. Anyone else? What do you guys think? Every month I get $500, but I have to pay the bank $1,500. Kelvin says equal. Equal means break even, is it? All right. I'm not sure how you derive that. Muhammad Malim says minus, negative. All right. Anyone else has a thought? All right. So I think that the equation is quite clear. In this particular context, you're going to make negative returns, which means if you are a landlord here, if you want to just look at gross yield based on the rental income, if you don't take into account the loan repayments and all the other Kelvin says, yeah, so Kelvin is negative. I get it. Thank you. And if you want to look at all of this, less the loans and the repayments and the monthly maintenance, you're still going to make a 3.31% gross yield. But we know just by simple math here that you're not making a positive return. Okay, so we are clear. Let's take a look at the example in Malaysia. So this is a property called Verve Suites at Mont Kiara. Mont Kiara is an area, I think, just outside of KL. It's a property with quite similar configuration, 2-bed, 2-bath, 926 square feet. If you want to be a landlord here, you want to buy this property, is going to be $198,000 US. And this is what the numbers are going to look like. You need to put in a 30% deposit, right? And you get a monthly loan $750. So the interest rates and what we figured out in Malaysia are going to be lesser than those in Malaysia. So it's not a bad number. And the monthly rental on this property is going to give you about US $801. Okay, now let's take a look at this property. What do you think the transaction is like? Is it a positive or negative returns here? What are your thoughts? Come on, type in the chat for me. Is this positive or negative? Almost okay, almost positive, still negative to me. All right. So this part, it's a little bit questionable, right? Because if you look at the math, it's 801 less 750, you still make about $61, right? Is that correct? So you make $51, but the reality will be this: if you're making $51 a month, now it's equal, there's still maintenance to pay. Exactly right. So Kelvin, you're right. This is a situation where the numbers, even if you were to make $50 a month, people say, wow, that's not bad, it's a positive return. But question will be, is $50 a month going to help you get to the numbers that you want to achieve? Okay. So these are the numbers. If you have to look at the gross yield, less off the loan repayment and all that, without looking at that, we could make about 4.85% gross yield. Okay, so not very exciting, right? If you want to come in here, let's take a look at the overall Malaysia market. I know currently this may not be the most rosy market. This is what's going on right now. There's a property overhang in Johor Bahru, and in August there was an article which we saw that came out which says like these houses at half price. Anyone? And this is what it's saying. There's a developer, Country Garden, that is selling its inventory at 50% discount. Okay. Now the question would be, isn't this a good thing? If you were a buyer and you were to come in buying at 50% discount, that's a good thing, right? But look at the other buyer here, this guy named Hassan from Singapore. He bought in 2015 for $1.82 million. Now overnight, his property value has dropped to $900, 900,000. Okay. In this market, although you may be able to buy at 50% discount, it looks like a good bargain, right? The question will be, how long will it take for the market to recover for you to eventually make good returns from there, right? So this is a question I'm going to leave to you to decide and think about. This is the bigger picture in Malaysia. There's a lot of abandoned projects in Peninsular Malaysia, which states that, again, this is an article in October 7th, which says that 79 abandoned housing projects affecting so many buyers, and the issue here is because the developers have very weak balance sheets. They basically have weak project management. They cannot be located, and the viability of these projects to start out with were not even solid. All right, so this is problematic. This is in Malaysia, and I am someone who had bought a property back in 2013 or 2015, if I'm not wrong, in Johor Bahru, in the area of Iskandar. And this is exactly what I'm facing, right? So I do not know, it's been 5 years now. I do not know how long it's going to take for the market to recover for me to make my money from there, right? Because if I were to sell now, I'm probably going to be selling it at a loss. So I hope you guys can sort of like evaluate this market for yourself. Okay, so are we in Singapore doing any better? Okay, I'm not saying Indonesia, Malaysia is bad. The reality is, in Singapore, we Singaporeans have it worse. Okay, and this is what I mean. Right, so City Lights at Lavender is a condo unit outside of the CBD. So we took this out. So you realize this is an even smaller unit, 2-bed, 1 bath at only 678 square feet, has a price of $857,000 US. So understand this is about 4 times, almost 4 times, or rather more than 4 times the cost of the property in Malaysia and the cost of property in Indonesia, and yet it's almost half the size of those other 2 examples. So you can see where we are at in Singapore. It's so very expensive. And if you were to buy this property for the purpose of investment, which means you're buying this property as a second property, guess what? The government says, we don't want you to be over leveraged. You can only buy a second property if you are able to come up with at least 60% down payment. Okay, so in this case, 60% of 857,000, a Singaporean buyer will have to fork out more than $500,000 just for down payment, and then the rest of it, 40% of loans, will be $1,700 a month. I'm going to give you a monthly rental of, drum rolls, 2,160. All right. So now my question to you will be: is this a positive or a negative cash flow or return in this case? It's a bit more interesting, right? Let's take a look at what you guys think, so that we can move on later with the US examples. You can see the difference of what it's going to look like. Positive, but very high capital up front. Correct? Anyone else has a thought about this? What do you guys think? Come on, positive or negative? It's just very simple math. You take 2160, you less of 1007, you're gonna make about $400 a month. Not bad, right? It depends if the buyer can come up with the capital. Yeah, great. So you guys see what the problem with Singapore is. A lot of us, we have it hard. Only the rich can do it. Exactly. So if you're not rich to start out with, then it becomes very tough, very expensive for you to buy a property in Singapore. All right. And you realize here the number here is a gross yield, is the lowest among the three examples. So Singapore gives about 2.71% gross yield. Malaysia does about 4.85. Indonesia did about 3.31. So Singaporeans are getting the least returns amongst the three countries. Okay. And this is the reality again in Singapore. The DBS report that came out in October, all right, states that people, Singaporeans who have been investing in a second property in Singapore yielded relatively low returns over the past decades. So understand, past decade means that in the last 10 years, Singaporeans who've been investing in Singapore properties have been getting relatively low returns compared to other investment vehicles, right? So then it doesn't make sense, right? Because this is what it looks like. If you're to buy a second private property, Singaporeans, if you have your current home is a public housing, which is a HDB, you cannot buy another public housing. You need to buy a private property, right? So to buy that, so in this particular example, a property costing $1.5 million, out of buying that $1.5 million, 15% goes to taxes. This is what it means. If 15% of what you pay goes to taxes, that will also mean that you're losing 15% of your investment value up front. Okay, understand the seriousness of this issue, right? Would you, as an investor, want to buy into an investment, say $100,000 portfolio, right? The moment you buy this portfolio at $100,000, your value drops by 15%. Okay, this is exactly what it means, right? If you want to put in $100,000 into buying into a property, and then the next moment your value drops to $85,000, is that a sensible buy or not? Is that a yes or no? Is this something that you're going to go for? Does it make sense? Yes or no? Come on, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts about this. What do you guys think? So those Singaporeans probably are going to be raising their eyebrows like, seriously, is this relative? Well, this is from DBS. It's not something that I came out on my own. Yeah, so okay, to success, not worth it. So you want to make sure your dollars, your money that you put into an investment grows. So this is like buying a brand new car. The moment you drive out of the showroom, the value of your car drops by 10 to 20%. And you're not going to be able to recover that. Whereas for property, maybe if you were to wait 5-10 years, right, maybe you can recover that amount. But 15% is a lot for you to recover, right? You got to agree with that. And as I've mentioned, just less than 24 hours ago, the Singapore government just came out with a new, with some news saying that, there's going to be cooling measures, it's going to kick in, which makes this 15% is going to rise up to higher than 15%, probably is going to be in the range of maybe 17% or more. That means you lose your value of your investment a lot more because you're going to be paying more taxes upfront to buying a second property onwards in Singapore, right? So Singaporeans, I hope you're tuning in tonight, and I hope I'm going to be able to give you some kind of solutions, right? So these have been the issues or the challenges that we have encountered in buying properties. The capital, the time that you do not have, the volatilities or the different options in the market, and then all of these inherent market conditions in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. What I want to be able to do for you tonight is that if we can solve this for you, I'm going to hope that it's going to bring you more joy, less stress, because now if you have an investment that's working well for you, that's producing for you the kind of returns that you want, it's going to give you more money. Obviously, that's what we want, right? Again, we have all of our different plans that we want to achieve. So this is what I want to be able to help you achieve tonight. All right, are we good? Are we ready to go? Okay, right, great. So this is in summary how we do it in the US. I want to bring your attention to this graph. The traditional way of how we buy properties in our own countries will be the one on the left, right? You buy in, you pay 30% of the deposit, and then you take a bank loan for the rest, maybe 60% bank loan, 70% bank loan. And then for you to make your money there, if you were to look at the examples earlier, you want to make your money through rental income, you're actually not making positive returns to start out with, right? So it doesn't make sense. It's not very exciting. It's not going to help you reach your numbers. And then you have to wait probably 5 to 10 years for the market to appreciate, and then you make your money from there. Right, let's bring your attention now to the graph on the right. Let me know at a glance, what do you see that is missing from the graph on the right? The graph on the right is how we buy properties in the US. Let me know, what do you see is missing from the graph on the right? Loan, there's no loan. Okay, great. So you guys are sharp, you guys sharp eyes, Malim, Linda, Kiatisuk. So there's no loan here. So understand, in the US, looking at this graph, you pay about 30% of the market value. The rest of it is discounts. Okay, so let me repeat that. You pay 30%, the rest of it is discounts. Okay, now my question to you is, if you are able to buy a property paying only 30% and the rest of it discount, do you have to wait 5 to 10 years to make your money in this property? What do you think? Yes or no? Do you need to wait 5 to 10 years? Yes or no? Very simple. What do you guys think if you buy this? Right, Kelvin, you got it right. So no. Anyone else? Depends on the price of the property. Obviously, yes. So if you understand, if you buy the property, let's say it's a $200,000 property and you buy only 30%, which means you only pay about 60%, you don't have to wait 5 to 10 years, right? Because you can sell as quickly as possible to make up for the difference. Okay, so I hope this is what's going to be very interesting for you as we move on, right? So after comparing all of the local examples, let's take a look what rental looks like in the US with a single family home. It's a very simple home in the US, nothing fancy. This is what a typical single family home looks like. And this is a property in Jacksonville, Florida. This property is owned by our group of investors based out of the US. So like you guys, they are investors from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, within this region. This is what the numbers look like. This property, in order for you to be a landlord and to buy this, to rent it out, it's going to cost you $145,000. But understand, this is the market value. We acquired this property at only $56,400. We needed to put in some rehab works, which means we make the property look good. All the other expenses that come in to play, a total expense of $86,400. Right? So understand, for us to buy this property, make it look good so that we can tenant it out and collect rental income, is going to cost us only $86,400. What does this do for you as an investor? It will give you an equity gain, an immediate equity gain of $58,600. And how do you derive this number? Is simply you take 145K, which is the market value, you less off all of the total expense, which is $86,400, you get $58,600. So this is your potential value if you sell the property. But this particular property was not sold, it was put up for rental. It's giving the investors $1,000 a month in terms of rental. What does the number look like? The ROI here is 13.89% gross. My question to you is this a positive or negative return? This is a positive or negative cash flow? Come on, guys. What do you guys think? This number. All right, Katie says positive, plus. Okay, great. So if you realize here, there isn't a bank loan to pay. Right, there isn't, of course, maintenance. There'll be a bit of maintenance here and there, but it's not going to be very expensive, right? And the tenant stays in and pays you every month. Okay, so this is going to give you about 13.89% returns on your investment, and this is a lot better than the Singapore example of 2.71, Malaysian example of 4.85, Indonesian example of 3.31%. Right, so this is double-digit returns that I hope you realize in through my examples later that we don't show you anything below double-digit returns. Okay, so that's where we're at for you when it comes to US real estate. All right, so to this point, let me now introduce myself a little bit more for you, so for you to understand where I'm coming to you from. So I am the head of marketing and communications at Noble Sky International. I've been with the company for 3 years now already, and I was a former senior officer in the Singapore Police Force for a good 8 years. I love the job, but the only thing is I also love doing business, right? But in Singapore, being a civil servant, I cannot moonlight, or I cannot do side businesses, right? Because it's going to conflict with the job. So I had to take that very tough decision in the end of 2017 to resign and get out and do my own business, right? So currently what I do is I have multiple businesses of my own, one of it being a digital marketing agency. All right, I have product-based businesses, and I'm also heading the marketing department here in Noble Sky International. And of course, I wouldn't be here speaking to you if I wasn't myself a US real estate investor. So I came in to this company not as a staff, with Nobelsky International. I came in as an investor first. I came in and I met up with the founder of the company. He showed me how it's done. I started out on my own. Then I've been building my portfolio since then. All right. So what I have for myself right now, okay, so I have a property in the state of New York, one in Florida, 3, in fact, in Houston, Texas. Right. So this is what I'm doing for myself. I have 5 properties in my portfolio that I'm continuing to build on for my own financial targets. So remember, for myself, my retirement number is basically 1.5 million Sing dollars. That's the number I want to be able to achieve and retire on. That's going to help me pay about $5,000 a month, monthly, until I reach 80 years old. That's the number that I'm looking at. Okay. So this is where I'm coming to you at, and it's very, very possible because I didn't come from a background where, you know, I had silver spoon or I had a rich inheritance. I inherited big money. It's not that. It's basically from my own hard-earned salary in the police force previously, in my previous jobs and all that. I use this money. That's where I invested and started to grow my investments. And it is something very, very possible for you. So why do I do this? And I think this is gonna probably, you know, be in sync with a lot of you. I have 3 children of my own. I love them to bits. And I want to give them the best in life, which is why I'm doing this investment. It's a very serious endeavor for me. And I hope it's the same reason why you're here tonight. You're not here tonight because you just want to waste time. You want to find out how does your US real estate work. I hope you're looking at investing seriously tonight and looking at US real estate as potentially something that you can actually work on. All right. I want to retire earlier. This whole idea of early retirement, right? There's so much talk about this going on, but does someone really have that formula to get there? Okay, it's actually a very simple thing that you need to do. You need to plan your numbers and then work backwards. So for me, if I want to retire by 60, I need $1.5 million for me to retire. Then I work my number backwards. What vehicle can I use to help me get to my $1.5 million? So that's simply how you're going to look at it as well, right? And importantly for me, I want to leave a legacy, which means when I pass on, I will have some solid nest egg that I can hand over. Myself and my wife, once we're no longer around, we can hand that over to our children. They get a good head start in life, and this is what you call multi-generational wealth. You can hand it over to their children. And the most important part is I don't want to burden my family. Okay, so a lot of us, you heard of this term about the sandwiched generation, right? Where you have to take care of your elderly parents, you also have to take care of your children. I want to help my children escape or get out from this cycle, okay, which means when I'm in my old age, I'm no longer working, me and my wife, they do not need to depend on me. No, I do not need to depend on them. I have to reverse that statement. I do not need to depend on my children, so they are free to just deal with their families. Okay, how many of you can be in sync with these thoughts? How many of you are actually here again? Just let me know again. How many of you are here for your family or for your children? Type in the chat for me. If it's family, type in family. If it's children, type in children. If it's legacy, type in legacy. What are you guys here for again? Let me know. I know some of you came in slightly later, right? So let me know where you're at. What is it that you are doing this for? Kelvin says children and family. Beautiful. Thank you, Kelvin. Same. This is what we're trying to achieve. Anyone else? What are you doing this for? Come on, people. What are you here in for tonight to learn about investing in US real estate? Is it family? Is it legacy? What is it? Children? Wow, you guys haven't thought about it. So it could be all of this, right? It could be everything. So I want to now show you what we're doing. So for Veronica's retirement, great, exactly. I think a lot of people want to do that. Linda says you have a bucket list. Okay, very interesting. So you have a bucket list that you want to be able to achieve, and probably I imagine could be traveling the world, right? It could be one of it, right? So how we've been doing, and not just about ourselves. Again, this is about how we're helping people like you to help you also be on your way to achieve those numbers that you are planning here today. So a lot of you are saying family, children, retirement, bucket list, family, right? We've been teaching and helping people invest in US real estate since 2017. It started from Singapore, that being our headquarters. We've been running live workshops in person before COVID, obviously. Why we need to do this is because, like exactly where you are tonight, you need to be aware. We need to teach you how this works first, and then for you to be aware, and then for you to make a conscious decision whether this is something that's going to help you get to your numbers, right? We started from Singapore, we moved on to Jakarta. We've done more than 100 live presentations around Asia. Jakarta being one of our biggest markets, we love it there. Because people there, every time we go in and we ask the room, how many of you have been to the US? And like we have more than half of the class saying that, hey, yes, we've been to the US. And they have families living there, they have children studying there. To them, to the Jakarta people, the US market is an awesome market, something that they always wanted to invest in. But what was missing for them is a partner that they can work with based outside of the US that they can help them manage their investments in the US. And that's exactly how we came in for them. We've also been to Surabaya and Bandung. So it's also very, very nice markets where people are very friendly. We love going to these places as well. And then we've been to Malaysia, of course, being our closest neighbors. We've run workshops in all the various parts of Malaysia, including Sarawak, Kuching. We've been there a few times as well to run these workshops. And from this, after they attend the classes, they make a decision and then they come on board as a client and start their investments, right? Okay, so we've also been to Vietnam, right, and to Cambodia and Thailand, right? So in these countries that we've been to, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand has been very interesting because it's like chicken and duck talking, right? So every time we're there, they don't understand us, we don't understand them. So what we needed to do in between is to have an interpreter to work for us to get the message across. But what is interesting is throughout these places, even though they do not understand the language, they don't speak English natively, end of the day, they still got the message that US real estate is the vehicle that can help them get there. Obviously, everyone will have different investments already, right? But a lot of them realize that US real estate is something that can help to reinforce or help to enrich their investments and help them get to the numbers faster. That was the important thing which a lot of them realized and they decide to come on board. We are also about building a community of investors, all right? So we don't do this just basically to help you manage your properties and all that. We see a lot of value in bringing people together. This was a picture based in 2018, I think September of 2018, when we invited about 50 of our investors to Bali. And in the front row, as you can see, our partners and mentors based in the US. So we flew in the mentors from the US, came into Bali, and we had our investors from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, quite a number of them coming in as well, and all came together to learn directly from people who's been there, done that in the US, right? So that's where we're coming in from. I want you to take a listen to what Mr. Richard Janey has to say about working with Noble Sky.
Richard Janey. I am an owner of an agency back in Singapore, a real estate agency. I lived in Singapore for 40 years, always wanted to get involved in the US real estate, but I didn't know how. So when I met Rauf back in Singapore, he gave me the skeleton or the outline of how to do it. But I think when we came out to Bali, then I met all his counterparts in the US, and it was a very straightforward, open sharing session. So I think it answered a lot of questions which I had in my mind, and it gave us a lot of confidence. We now know exactly who we're going to deal with in the US, and we have a lot more confidence and knowledge now. So if you want to invest in the US, this is the place.
All right, so this is Mr. Richard Janey. So he's been with us since I think late 2017. And this is how we helped him buy 4 properties, and he achieved 273% growth in his portfolio. This is how we've been able to do for him. So when he started out, Mr. Richard Janey, he bought into a portfolio of 4 properties acquired in Orange County, New York. He put in his own capital of $45,000. It was part of a group capital contribution of $278,000. So understand, to buy these 4 properties required $278,000, but this has a market value of $760K. So simply by buying into these 4 properties, right, his portfolio value grew by 273%. Very simply, you take 760 divided by 278. That's the growth that he got immediately, right? So this is the kind of properties that you can look at. Some of the examples that people buy into in the US. Right. So this is also Mr. Damadi Young from Jakarta, Indonesia. How he achieved 25% returns from Airbnb properties in Houston, Texas. He started out small. He just decided to put in $5,000 first, and he was part of a group capital contribution of 270,000, which means that his 5K entered into a pool of 270K in total, bought into a property that was 370K. So understand, this property is a bit more expensive, right? 270K to just buy into one property, but this gave him a 37% portfolio value growth because of the equity in between, and he's receiving 25% rental ROI on a yearly basis. So his money is growing 25%. On top of that, his portfolio value is growing as well. Okay, all right, you guys get this? So this is how we're doing this. All right, so understand, when I share all of this with you, my intention really is not to, show how much money we're making, not to show our success stories. It's really about showing you how it is possible for yourself. Okay, so you will see a few more examples tonight, how it's possible for people to actually achieve a lot of their numbers and the growth in their wealth to achieve towards their numbers. So all of you have mentioned here, you have your numbers. So what we want to really help you achieve is that, okay, help you to gain some clarity on what US real estate can do for you, and then you can make a decision later whether this is something that you can do for yourself. All right, so are we good to go? Yes, all right, so good to go. I want to introduce you at this stage to someone who's very important, someone who's dear to me, is a friend and is also a mentor. His name is Rauf Syed. Okay, he is the founder of Noble Sky International. So the fact that you guys are here with me tonight learning about US real estate is because of this guy, right? Rauf Syed. So check him out on Facebook. You can add him to your friend list and things like that. So he had started out this business back in 2014. Firstly, for himself. I want you to take a listen to why he has actually decided to bring this as a business for other people, right? So just take a listen to what he has to say.
Many of us are looking for opportunities in life that will enable us to empower ourselves to drive towards our goals and purpose. Some of us might find that the jobs we had are just not enough and thus embark on another journey to win this game in life. I decided to take the plunge in entrepreneurship and investing. Not in my own country, but rather halfway across the world in the United States. I left my stable job and started a real estate business only to be beaten, lost, and even more frustrated. I had to leave my family for months, my daughter who was not even in primary school, and my son who was just a toddler. But I badly wanted to win this game in life and provide them with the best, so I had that decision changed my life forever. Hi, Rauf Syed here. I'm the founder and chief investment strategist at Noble Sky International. I'm a proud father of two, Leila Mariam and Yusuf Aidan. I also count my nephews and nieces my own children as well, and I have my wife and business partner Aysera to thank for as well. They are my reasons why I have been working so hard so they may pursue their dreams and achieve their goals. Giving them the best to score in life was my objective. Coming from a broken family, I knew the financial pain and hardship that my parents had endured while raising my siblings and me. I value their sacrifices that have made me into who I am today. This attitude of persistence and tenacity has pushed me beyond my boundaries to create multiple streams of income in property investments. I built Noble Sky since 2014 and have achieved the highest standard and recognition my business has to offer. I'm proud to say that we are the only company in Asia that has enabled thousands of people from all walks of life from across the region to affordably own multiple portfolios of properties in the United States of America with no debt. I'm highly meticulous, and many who have worked with me will understand that I want the best for all my clients. I continually seek mentors and those more successful than I am in this field to gain more experience, and the intensive research we provide has allowed me to create life-changing decisions for my client. I presented them with my proposal, researched the desired property, and facilitated the whole process to suit their portfolio. Satisfaction on their faces and from hearing their voices after finally owning a profitable property that they never dreamed of before is the driving force for me. I will do the same for you because I was once looking for that purpose and I found my answers. I love connecting with people, and to me, it's not just about making a transaction, but more about having relationships built to last. I look forward to sharing my life's work with you. My life's work has empowered hundreds to realize a life they never once thought possible. My name is Rauf Syed, your go-to US real estate investment strategist.
All right, so that's from the founder of Noble Sky International, Rauf Syed. So every time I play this video, I get goosebumps because his message is exactly where I'm at. It's exactly where I'm going. I do a lot of what I do for my kids, and that's exactly what Rauf want to do. And he wants to help you Okay, all of us here be able to achieve that as well through US real estate. Okay. So here's our fair value exchange for the day. If I can have your attention for the rest of tonight, I'm going to give you the best that I can give you, things that we have learned from US real estate investing for the past 7 years, and something that we're going to be able to potentially help you get to your numbers. All right. So is this something that we can do tonight? Before we go ahead, can I have some reaction from you guys? See whether we are good to go. You guys are still tuning in with me, right? Okay, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay, good. So I'm going to share with you now Rao's journey, how he started out, because through his journey, there are lessons to be learned, which is going to help you to make to realize how this is going to help your journey, to shortcut your journey to succeeding in US real estate. Okay, so for Rao, this is how it started in April 2012. Then he was not doing real estate yet. He was actually a sales manager in an education company based in Singapore. He was doing really well, but he decided that in April of 2012 to go up and listen to people at the National Achievers Congress, people like Tony Robbins, Donald Trump, Kiyosaki. So these are people who inspired him, and I think it's inspired a lot of people. In fact, I'm currently studying the book by Kiyosaki, right? So it's very interesting propositions in here about how you can grow your money, and a lot of them talk about real estate. But the guy who really caught Rao's attention was someone who's not a big name. He came on stage, he told the crowd how you can buy properties in the US and make good money from there, even if you are a foreigner. Okay, so that caught Rao's attention, and he decided, okay, I'm going to attend the guy's full workshop. I'm going to learn exactly how that's going to work out, because what I'm doing right now as a sales manager, I'm doing well, but it doesn't excite me. It's not going to help me achieve my numbers, my retirement numbers for my children, for my family. So he decided that, okay, I'm going to go for it. So what Ralph did was basically in 2014, he has already built his nest egg of money, starting seed capital per se, so that he can start doing investing in the US. And when he attended this workshop in 2014, he had to pay $20,000 worth. It was a 5 days, 4 nights workshop in Las Vegas. So understand what you're going to get tonight is part of this super compressed version of this $20,000 workshop. All right. So from his what he learned from there is what you're going to be learning tonight, and it's going to be very, very interesting. I promise you. Okay. This is what he learned through the workshop, is that he can buy properties at $5,000 and then sell it to $100,000. Okay. This was exactly what he learned, but this was what he thought he could buy. Okay. The reality on the ground is you can buy a property at $5,000 in the US. You can, but it will be likely very hard to sell. Okay, so imagine if in the US you can really buy properties at this price, you will want to know how you're going to be able to do it, right? So, but that didn't deter him. So Ralph decided, okay, I know I can buy properties at a very low price. Let's see how I can turn it around and make money from there, right? So he was told, from what he learned in the workshop, is that the best place to buy properties at such great discounts, at such a low price, is at the auctions. So that's exactly where he went to. Okay, Ralph decided to go in and enter into the Houston in Texas, a Houston auction. So what you see in this picture is the guy standing in front with the hat. He's actually the sheriff in Houston. Okay, he is running the auction. So this is a government auction. The pieces of paper behind him, as you can see, is a list of properties that's being put up for auctions. Okay, so this is a physical auction. So literally the sheriff is doing the, going once, going twice, going 3 times. So that's being run by the sheriff. So when Ralph first entered this back in 2014, he came in, he flew up from Singapore into Houston to enter this auction, and guess what? He didn't win anything, and he needed to fly back to Singapore. Waited a few weeks for the next auction that came up. He flew in a second time to Houston, Texas, again entered the auctions, and he didn't win anything either. But it was only on the 3rd try, after going back to Singapore, waiting a few weeks again, flying back up to Houston, he finally won something. Do you guys want to know what he won? Yes, give me a thumbs up if you want to find out what he actually got. Okay, all right, thank you guys for the thumbs ups. So this is what he got. He signed, if that's Ralph, he signed, you can see this is a receipt for $28,000. What did Ralph get for $28,000? You can see the name here, Audubon Park Condominium, right? This is what he got. He got 4 units of this condominium units, all right? at $28,000, which means each unit costs $7,000. And this condo is not the type of condo that we have seen in our earlier examples of what we are used to looking at in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, right? It's not a luxury type of condo, but this is located in a blue-collar neighborhood. There's a lot of work and jobs happening in the area. People wanted to stay in and rent. And it's also near the Houston airport, right? So Rauf could put this property up for rental and actually make positive returns from there, right? So how many of you like the idea of being able to get 4 condo units for $28,000? Give me a thumbs up if you like the idea of being able to buy 4 condo units at $28,000. Yes. All right. With Kevin giving me the biceps. Right. So this is something which was he had encountered for himself and said, wow, this is amazing. Now I want you to put yourself in Rauf's shoes, or in the shoes of the investor. Put on the investor hat and let me know, if you were in Rauf's shoes, what will you do next? Yeah, this is an interesting question. I just want to see what you guys would be thinking about. So if you were in Rauf's shoes, having bought this property, 4 condo units for $28,000, what will you do next? What will be your next strategy? All right, come on guys, let me know. Linda says invest more properties. Anyone else? What are your thoughts? Come on. Invest. Okay, invest more. All right. Wow. Okay. Tonight I'm getting a very pretty accurate type of idea. So I like you guys. So you guys, when you get thinking about invest more, that's exactly how we think. We usually want to think as an investor. Imagine if you're able to buy properties at such a low price and being able to make money from there. The next thing you want to do really is to buy more properties, right? That's because that's going to help you get to your goals faster, isn't it? If you buy more properties, each property is doing great returns for you. It's going to help you get to your goals faster. Yes or no? What do you think? Yes? Yeah. All right. So exactly that's what Rauf did. Rauf decided to enter the next auction, which was in San Antonio, Texas. But by this time, there was a huge problem which Rauf did not see coming earlier. At this time, Rauf had actually flown back to Singapore. Okay, Rauf had flown back to Singapore. He had told everyone, hey, look guys, I've won 4 properties at the auctions. Now I'm going to be able to make money, put this up for auction, for rental, make my passive income there and things like that. And guess what? I'm going to fly up to San Antonio this time around and get me more properties. Okay, so the problem was when he arrived in San Antonio this time around, Rauf realized that he had only $10,000 left to buy into a property. Okay, now at this stage, when you only have $10,000 to buy into a property at the auctions, reality is you can still get a property, right? Because we've seen the numbers. But unfortunately, with $10,000, he was being outbidded by other investors. So all the properties that Rauf had already shortlisted, he didn't win. He got outbidded by other people. So he became very emotional. He had in his mind is that I cannot go back empty-handed. I've already told everyone that I'm going to come back with more properties in hand. I cannot waste any more time. I needed to just buy something. So what I want to do is the very next property that's going to come up, if it appears on Google Maps, I'm just going to do a quick search on Google Maps. If it's there, I'm going to buy it. Okay, that's exactly what Rauf did. A property which came out in the next in the list. He saw the property on the map and he got it for $8,000. And this is what he got. A miserable looking property. The interior was burnt down. Apparently the backstory behind this is that there were druggists using this space for their drug operations and it got burnt down in this area. And basically with $10,000 after buying this property, this cost him $8,000, right? So this house, miserable looking house, cost $8,000. To understand, when you look at photos in Google Maps, if you look at the timestamp, sometimes they can be 2 years, 3 years, or maybe even longer than that. Could be 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So a lot could have happened during this time, right? So what happened is this property, what he saw on the image was nothing what it looks like on Google Maps compared to the real thing. So with $2,000 left, he couldn't do anything to rehab this property and make it look good. So the only thing that Rauf could do was just to sell off this property at a loss, and that was it. Okay, so he didn't make any money from this property at all. Because by this time, understand how he got to that stage is because he had flown up and down to the US so many times. He had a lot of his money that he set aside for investment has actually been spent on flights, spent on food, on lodging, on renting cars, and he didn't travel alone. He traveled with his business partner. And all of this ate up into the capital that he has set aside. So this was really the number one mistake of buying into this property, which was he bought a property without research. Okay, so this is number one lesson which you need to take note of, even if you want to buy property in your own countries. Right? If you do not do any research, then basically don't buy the property, because you're going to get caught off guard like this. Then you're not going to be able to make your money. In fact, you're going to lose money. Okay, so that didn't deter Ralph. Obviously, what he decided next is that, okay, I've got a few good buys. I know this is a working model. I made some mistakes, but I need now to strengthen my position. I need to strengthen my knowledge. I need to increase my knowledge, be able to do this even better. I needed to look for mentors, people who have done it already successfully. So Ralph, that's exactly what he did. He looked up friends, he looked up people, and he found this couple, John and Laura, a retired couple. They own hundreds of properties in the US. They are still in the US, they're still helping us with, giving us lots of tips and advice of how they've been able to do it. And we have Ray and George Dyers, a pair of brothers in the US who specializes in commercial properties, who also does a lot of rehab. So they've been helping us manage the rehabs on the ground. Okay, and we have Charles and Lena Sells, also people who does a lot on tax lien investing. If that's something that you're interested in, we can actually refer you to these guys. So they've done huge deals in the US. In fact, if you were to look up the US, there's a lot of people who've done lots of big deals. And on top of these groups of people, there's a lot more other mentors and partners that we have in the US. So Ralph's decision was to build upon his experience, build upon this as something that he can start to then figure out for not just for himself, not just for his family, but also for people outside of his circle, which means you and I, right? Start to be able to offer this to everyone else. So this was what exactly he learned through his journey, and now we have come to this stage where this is where you can look at the lessons learned in here. Is that first and foremost, you need to do research, and more research. Okay, if you do not do the right research, you're going to end up like Ralph, going to end up buying the property which can't make you money, and that just won't make sense, right? The next thing which we found out was that an ugly house on a pretty street will work out anyways better than a pretty house on an ugly street. What this basically means is, if you buy an ugly property, right, the one that looks run down, but it's in a neighborhood where people want to buy, it's okay, because you can make it look good and then sell it for profits. But if you were to have a nice house in a place, in a neighborhood where nobody wants to buy, then that is actually worse off for you, because nobody wants to buy it and you can't make your money. You're going to be stuck with that property. All right. And of course, this coming in from Ralph's personal experience, you got to watch all expenses. As an investor, the last thing you want is for your money to go into expenses rather than into the investment itself. So, in today's context, right, when you invest, whether in stocks, or you use the services of brokers or remisiers or even platforms, there's always going to be some level of fees, and those are your expenses. When you trade stocks, there's some platform fees, and then there's some commissions you need to pay. So all of these are expenses you need to take note of, right? So you got to watch this to ensure you get the best ROI out of your money. Okay. And the last thing about the right team and mentor. So Ralph decided that, okay, this is something that's going to help a lot of people. We needed to build a team that's going to help to support this movement, to help more people like you and I achieve great returns from US real estate. Okay. And today, in 2021, we are a 20-man strong company based in Singapore, headquartered in Singapore. The team here is supporting the clients that we have, about 300 plus clients right now that we are serving within the area of Asia to buy into properties in the US, right? So here are some of the numbers that we're doing for our clients. So since July 2018, why July? This was the time when the company did a lot of public outreach, again, offering this as a business, as a service for the members of public to come in and start their investments. Okay, so we were able to buy 63 properties for investors. Okay, then these properties cost $3.75 million to achieve, the asset purchase price. And this only represented about 30% of the market value, which means that this 63 properties actually has a market value of more than $12.5 million, but we needed only about $3.75 million to buy into these properties. So understand, this is what we've been able to achieve for our clients collectively. Okay, looking at these numbers, how many of you would actually love to be a part of this investment, a part of this portfolio? How many of you like this? Okay, give me a thumbs up. How many of you like these numbers that you're looking at? Yes? Okay, the rest of you not interested, not interesting numbers. Okay, I want to share with you how else it's going to look like with the other examples that's going to come along. Right. So you guys ready, right, for what I'm going to share with you, how we're going to be able to achieve this, right? Because this is going to tie in to how you're going to be able to do this for yourself as an investment, okay? These are the reasons why we choose US real estate. This is first and foremost, remember the issues based on local real estate. Now this is where we are looking at why the US. It's because of market size and abundance of inventory. So understand the US is huge, right? It's a huge country. If you were to do a very quick Google on the value of real estate in the US, you will find the number to be about 36 trillion plus. Okay, that means there's a 16 zeros after the number 36. Okay, so that's 36 trillion. 36 trillion is just on the real estate, and that is more than the GDP of a few countries combined. You guys get that? That's how huge real estate market in the US is. And on a yearly basis, there's at least an average of about 6 million transactions going on in a year. So there's a lot of good properties that people can buy into, which includes yourself as an investor to buy into the properties in the US. Point number two, these properties that you're going to see, already seen an example or two earlier, they are a lot more affordable than local markets, right? So you understand when you buy it at such a low price, it becomes a lot more affordable. These are prices or the price point that you probably won't be able to get in your own countries. Okay, ease of acquisition, this was the deal maker for me. So back in April of 2018, when I first met Ralph, how it started out for me was basically I saw a Facebook advertisement. There was this guy, Ralph, I hadn't known him then. He was showing some photos of US properties, running the numbers. So I decided to get in touch with Ralph. I met up with him on one night in April 2018. It was near BreadTalk headquarters. If the Singaporeans, you would know where that is. Sat down with him and he shared with me the numbers and all that. I saw like, oh, this is very, very interesting. But I told him, Ralph, I got a problem, which is I have 3 children, I have family, I have a day job, I have a business at that time I needed to run. I cannot be flying into the US to manage all of these properties myself. Okay, and then that's when Ralph surprised me by telling me, okay, this is how it's going to work out. Buying a property in the US will not require you to fly over at all. Okay, so that was the deal maker for me, because I thought that if it's going to require me to fly to and fro like what he did, right? To fly to and fro to take care of the properties and all that, it's not going to work out for me. But I was very, very surprised at how easy it was to get in, which is why I've been continuing to buy properties in my own portfolio. Okay, of course, I will share how that works out for you as well later. In land ownership, this is a bonus for me. You remember the photo of the properties that we've seen, those single family houses? In the US, when you buy into a property, you do not buy the house. You actually buy the land plot. Okay, so you own the land plot together with whatever is above it, which is the house, whatever is below it. So if that piece of land that you own happen to have gold below it or oil, whatever it is, it belongs to you, right? Because you're the owner of the plot of land. So you will actually get the title deed to the plot of land in the US. And so this was very interesting for me, because now I can tell people, hey, look, I actually own land in the US. That's pretty amazing, right? Because in any other countries, generally it's be very tough for a foreigner to own the land. But in the US, it's superbly easy, right? Point number 5, price to value ratio. And this is my favorite, because for the same amount of money that you put out as an investment, right? So let's say some of you have money in the bank already. Especially, I know some of you guys, like at December, you get your bonuses, you get suddenly you got 5 figures sitting in the bank. Oh, where should I put my money now for it to grow? Where should I put my money for it to contribute to my financial goals I want to achieve, right? So a lot of people get scared, because then they realize, I'm going to put in my money, I'm only going to get such a little returns and yet such a high risk. But in the US, with the same amount of money you're going to put in, you're going to get a lot more value, you're going to get a lot more equity. That was going to help your money grow faster. Okay, so let's look at in our perspective, the biggest rule of real estate investing. Okay, I'm not sure what you guys have in mind, but this is where we're at. For Noble Sky International, the biggest rule of real estate investing is this: you make money when you buy and not when you sell. Okay, so I repeat that, because for most people, you probably heard some people say, right, buy property and hold, buy property and wait. Whereas in our case, is you buy property and make money immediately. All right, not when you sell then you make money. Okay, so this, I will show you what it means. Okay, so this is where we have come to right now. This is all of this talk about buying properties at deep discounts and all. How does it really work? Okay, so I need your attention here. Okay, I'm going to show you and reveal to you how we buy properties at 70 to 80% discount to the market value. Are you guys ready? If you yes, give me a yes, type yes in the chat so I know you guys are ready for this one. I'm going to show you because it's going to get a little bit technical, so I need you to I need your attention here. All right, great. Kelvin, Malim, all right, anyone else? The rest of you are here as well, right? So we're on the same page. Now, let me show you how that works, okay? So all of this has got to do with the property tax policy in the US, okay? And this is what it looks like. In the US, as per any country in the world, generally an established democratized country, which has, tax systems, one of the revenues for a country will be from property taxes. Okay, and in the US context, the US has 50 states, but it has smaller lines, smaller government lines called counties, and each county is responsible of taking care of its own area to make sure that everything is taken care of. And the county government needs this property taxes from property owners to be paid so that they can pay the schools, the roadworks, the teachers, the firemen. So without the property taxes, the government are not going to have enough money to fund all of this. So you guys see how important property tax is, right? So the issue is that in any country, and also similarly in the US, is that people are unable to pay. There'll be some groups of people who are unable to pay their property taxes due to various reasons. So for example, we're going to look at this example. This particular property owner A is unable to pay, maybe because he has lost his job, maybe he could have passed on, could have been divorced with the spouse, husband and wife divorced. And now nobody wants to pay the property tax, right? So it's going to be a problem for the county government. So what they're going to do first and foremost is this, okay? If you can't pay after year one, you owe say $2,000 to the county, the government is just going to send you a reminder and say, hey, look, you owe us $2,000. And then after year two, still unable to pay, they can send you another reminder for $2,000. And by the end of year three, you still can't pay, going to give you a reminder for another $2,000. My question to you is, do you think this can go on forever? Yes or no? If you're the government, are you going to continue to do this? If you are going to continue just to send reminders and not take any kind of action, then everybody is just going to take advantage and not pay the taxes, right? But in different counties, it has different timelines. But the example we're looking at is a county where they only allow up to 3 years. Say, what happens if after 3 years you're still unable to pay the property tax? This is what's going to happen. The government is now going to foreclose on this property. So this property, for example, that property owner A is sitting on a property that has a market value of $180,000, but they are unable to pay $10,000 worth of property taxes, including all of the penalties. Okay, what the government is going to do next is put that property up for auction. Okay, what is the government interested in this auction? They are only interested at this stage to recover the taxes that are not able to pay by the property owner. So in this case, it's $10,000. So this is how the auction is going to go. The government is going to auction off this property starting from $10,000 because that's the amount that they want to recover, right? But this property has a value of $180,000. Okay, so you guys get that. I want you to play along with me, all right, as though you are participating in this auction, okay, in the US that's going on right now. Say we are right now in Houston, Texas. We're going to go for this auction, right? So how many of you want to buy this property starting from $10,000? Anyone? Write in the value for me in the chat, your bid. So Kelvin says 10.5K, I believe. Okay, 10.5K. Anyone going to do higher than Kelvin? Going once? Oh, very quickly, you guys are Malim going 25K. Anyone can do better than Malim? Kiatisuk 40K, all right. Going once, going twice. Linda, you need to be higher than Kiatisuk. 47K, great. Anyone else? Kiatisuk 50K. All right, for the purpose of tonight's example, we're just going to play it up to 50K. So thank you guys, everyone, for participating. So congratulations, Kiatisuk. You have won this property with a market value of $180,000 for only $50,000. All right, so congrats to Kiatisuk. Yay. Okay, so the question is, my question to you is, at this stage, has Kiatisuk made money on the buy? When he bought this property, do you think he has actually made money already? How many of you think so? Yes? Give me a yes or no. What do you guys think? Linda says yes. Well, how about the rest of you guys? What do you think? If you had won, if you were Kiatisuk and you won this property at 50K, but it has market value 180K. Right, so you guys get the idea, right? So Kelvin says yes. So this is how we get properties in the US. So understand this auction is open to everyone, including foreigners like you and I. But now the question would be, how do you even do that, right? If you're based in Singapore, or in Malaysia, Indonesia, how do you participate in this? I'm going to get to that very quickly soon, but I want to show you now. Remember I mentioned to you the ease of acquisition. I want to show you how exactly we buy into an auction property in the US based on the internet, just by logging into the internet, log into the county government's website, and then we buy properties. Okay, I want to share with you this video. Take a look at how we buy properties. The team was, this you can see in the below the screen is Ralph, how we are buying properties on behalf of clients we have in the region. Okay.
$35,000, something a bit.
Yeah, and buy my credit. Okay. Something today.
Come on. Come on.
15 seconds.
TikTok.
10 seconds.
Sorry.
7.
Come on.
Ah, divide.
So close.
Kita minta sama. 355. Macam ni? Itu at 36,000. Fantastic. Fantastic lah. Please fumble lah. Please fumble lah. Don't.
Okay, okay.
Bergerak. Sorry. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic.
Good job.
All right, so what you just witnessed is the team. When we enter into an auction, we don't need to be physically there in the US. Like the earlier example of Ralph was up in Houston, Texas. We can actually just do this on the internet as well. So this particular video that you saw, we won a property for $36,100. And this is basically how we do it. It's as easy as that. So I've never, in my own portfolio of buying properties in the US, I've never had to fly in there myself. The company Noble Sky does it for me on my behalf. All right. So this is a property, an example of what we got in through the auctions. This is a property in Walden, New York. It has a market value of $236,000. So we got this at the auctions for only $42,000. Okay, the same procedure, same process that you've seen earlier. Then we put in rehab works of 65K, and it brings a total expense of 110K. So this property is a bigger property, right? So with all expenses in, costing 110K, still gave us a very good equity of 126K. And when we sold it off at $215,000 this was in under 2 years, we got all of this done and sold it. So it did a 95.45% returns. ROI. How many of you like this number? How many of you like this number? So this is how we buy properties that we do. This is what we call flipping. Okay, I will show you some of the property, what it looks like inside. So that particular property on the outside looks quite okay, but on the inside, most properties that you buy using auctions as an acquisition method, right? The property inside is going to look pretty bad. As you can see here, the kitchen is thrown all over the place. The roofing is about to collapse. At least on the interior side, everything looked bad. So we needed to put in the rehab works to make it look good before we can sell for profits. So after the rehab is done, Noble Sky as a company settles all of this for you, and the property is then brought out and looks good. So we'll invite the city inspector to come in to inspect the property, make sure it's up to code, it's safe for people to live in, then we can put it up for listing and make the profits in there. So that's how we got a 95.45% returns for this particular property. All right, so it's a very simple process, right? Just buy low, doing the rehab, and then sell at a higher price, and that's how we make the money. Okay. So there are other ways that we can actually buy properties other than the government auctions that you've seen. We can also buy from motivated sellers, where people, motivated sellers are basically people who want to sell properties at a lower price because they need to urgently move, for example. And let's say they got a new job offer where it requires them to move to a different state altogether. So they need to remove this, liquidate the property quickly, right? So sometimes they sell it at below market value. And then we also have wholesalers. Wholesalers in the US is a interesting phenomenon, rather. It is not easily available in other places. So wholesalers in the US, basically what they do is they look out for good properties, and then they ask people to whether they want to sell. And they let's say this sellers want to sell, the wholesalers look for buyers, but they're not interested to make the kind of commissions like realtors do. So they're just transferring the ownership contracts from the seller to the buyer, and they just want to make $5,000 to $10,000 in between. Okay, they're not interested to do all of the big flipping rehab works and make huge money from that. That's what wholesalers do. And we buy from these people as well at great discounts. Right, so when I show people these examples of buying, the next question will be, how do I, now seated in my room in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Singapore, in Thailand, the Kiatisuk, right? How do you actually get recognized by the US as a buyer? Doesn't make sense, right? If I'm here, I cannot just be entering an auction website and then try to buy a property there. You need to be legally recognized before you can buy properties in the US. All right, so I'm going to show you how it works out. So you need to be set up properly, legally, and then how then do you utilize what we call unconventional leverage? Unconventional leverage, in our case, basically means is that we help you as an investor. Remember earlier, one of the problems we identify is not enough capital. So for people who do not have huge amounts of capital, we will help you to co-own properties together with other investors in our community, right? I need to bring your attention here. So let me know if I can continue at this stage, because it will require a little bit of focus and understanding. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready for me to share this part. How you actually, this is the setup I'm going to share, how we get set up in the US. All right, anyone else who gets ready? I see 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. The rest of you guys paying attention? Yes? Okay, so this is the important part. So let's take an example. We have a Singapore couple, we have a Malaysian family, we have an Indonesian investor, we have all the other investors from the different countries in the region. Now, this is where we're at. In order for you to be able to buy properties in the US, you need to be legally recognized. And in your case, we set up for you what we call a holding entity in the state of Wyoming. So looking at this example, this Singapore couple has $30,000 and they want to buy into rental properties. Okay, so for them to be able to start buying rental properties, they need to be set up in Wyoming state, and we set up for them XYZ LLC. Okay, and then they have another $30,000 they want to buy into flipping properties, and we set up for them XYZ Inc. The Malaysian family has more capital, 150K. We set up for them QRT LLC. The Indonesian investor has 500K. We set up for him ABC Inc. The other investors has, when you pull the funds together, so you have a bigger amount, 150K. We set up for them XXYY Inc. and 140K here, XXYY LLC. So understand, this is what you call your holding entities. They are set up in the state of Wyoming. Okay. The state of Wyoming, why of all places Wyoming, is because it is one of the few states in the US where you do not pay state taxes. Okay, so it's for the purpose of tax efficiency. You don't pay state taxes, but you pay only to the federal government. You pay taxes to the federal government. So as an investor, when you set up your holding entity here, you get to gain more money because you pay lesser taxes, right? You guys get it? So now how do you buy? So for $30,000, the Singapore family, for example, Singapore couple, 30K might not be able to buy into something good. So say they want to buy into something that costs more than 30K, right? So they need to combine their capital with the other investors. So looking at 30K plus 150K, this is what they're going to get. We're going to set up for them a LLC called 123 LLC. Now they have 180K combined capital to buy into a flip property in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so 123 LLC have to be set up in the state of Florida because that's where the property is. So now it will only make sense for them to receive their profits based on the proportion of ownership they have in 123 LLC. So in this case, because it's 30K versus 150K, the number here you can see is 16.67% versus 83.33%. So any profits that is made from this flip property will go back to the investors according to this proportion. All right, so now let's take a look at the other example. They have another 30K, they want to invest into rental properties, not enough to buy into one rental property, so they combine with other investors, so they have a total 170K. They set up 777 LLC. Okay, in this case, 170K to buy into a rental property in Houston, Texas. So 777 LLC have to be set up in the state of Texas. Okay, again, similarly, the rental income that gets paid out on a monthly basis has to be paid out according to proportion, which is 17.64% to the Singapore couple and 82.36% to the other investors. Right. So I hope you guys are pretty clear here. Right. This is how you do co-investing into properties. So let's say now the Malaysian family has 150K and they're looking at the market and it's decided, okay, 150K is enough for you to be a solo investor. You don't need to share with anyone. You don't need to co-own with anyone. So 150K in this case can buy them a rental property in Niagara, New York. So 888 LLC is set up for them in the state of New York. With 150K, they buy into the rental as a solo owner. So 100% of whatever returns they get from this rental property will go to the Malaysian family. So similarly, this Indonesian solo investor has 500K. You want to buy into a higher value property, so he decided to buy a flip property in San Francisco, California. And for his case, again, 456 LLC will be set up in California, and 100% of the returns, the profits that's generated from this property will go to the Indonesian investor. Okay, at this stage, we have a question from Mr. Kia. This is register all our companies in Wyoming. That's right. So your holding entity, so you can see this example here, the top level, right, is where you call the holding entity. That's where you first get registered in the US. So Wyoming state is the most tax efficient for you. The buying entities, or we call the operating entities in the second level here, is based on where the properties are located. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So this is how, because of this structure that we have for investors, how we can help people, investors with smaller capital amounts. So this, for example, Mr. Majaldi Lois is from Jakarta, Indonesia. He started out with only $5,000 of his capital. So I remember Mr. Majaldi very, very fondly because he is from the first workshop that we have run for the Jakarta market back in the year 2018. I remember him telling me like, okay, he's a retiree, he needs to have a portfolio where his money is paying him out on a monthly basis. But he said, I want to test the market first. I want to just try out $5,000. And it was perfectly fine because he was part of a group capital contribution of 463K. So it's a huge capital funds, right? 500 of his own money was what he put in, but he was able to buy into a portfolio of 9 properties. Okay, so whatever returns that the portfolio made, which is in this case 220% of portfolio value that it grew, his $5,000 grew as well. Okay, so I hope you guys see how this works. So this is how we help investors even with smaller amounts. So we also had Mr. Julius Wijaja. He started out with $30,000 only as smaller capital amount before he put in a larger amount. So he bought into this particular property, which is $105,000. He only put in $30,000 of his own, and that worked out as well, right? So you don't need to start out with huge capitals, all right? If you have, if you're looking at your bank account now, you say, okay, maybe I have $10,000. I can do this. Yes, you can, all right? So I want you to take a listen to how we help Ms. Rinki and her husband. They're from Singapore. How they've been enjoying great returns from multiple properties in the US.
Hi, I'm Serene. I used to be a banker dealing with investments, and I handed over more than 100 million worth of funds from my high net worth clients. So I'm actually pretty exposed to all kinds of investments. But from young, actually, I'm also very passionate about investments and always look around for good opportunities. So when I heard about this opportunity from Noble Sky, I felt that it was an interesting idea, the way they did it. So me and my husband decided to invest more than 250,000 into our investments. And I would say that I'm pretty happy with so far with what I see. We have some in near Niagara Falls, and some near New York City, I believe, because we participated in a few. And I think there was also a private auction that was conducted for us. So I'm very pleased with the service. And then I think we managed to get some good buys. And I personally went down with the Noble Sky team on the US tour to see how it's actually done. So it was very interesting, and they really followed to what they have said. It's a very disciplined way of buying US properties, so I'm happy with how it's handled. And actually, one of the projects currently is being the property which I personally saw when I went to the US. It was called Dom Blush. It's actually being rented as an Airbnb property, and that has been giving us decent rental income. Every month we'll be receiving some returns. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Okay, actually, I went for the course that Noble Sky conducted as well. I mean, they actually show hand and let you know everything that you need to know. I would say actually the whole process is not that easy, but however, Noble Sky, they made it easy for us, and I leave it to them really to handle the rest. They got their CPA, they have their team of people, and also they have their own ground team in US looking out for us. So I guess our investments is well taken care of, and I feel comfortable.
All right, so that's from Miss Rinki. It's part of a whole longer video, but I don't need to, show you the rest of it. So you just get a gist of it, how Miss Rin and her husband back in Singapore, they're able to enjoy returns from the multiple properties that they've been invested in the US. So Miss Rin, I think, started out in, she mentioned, in 2019, somewhere in early 2019. So a lot of the investors that have been with us, they will stay for the long term, because as they continue to get the kind of returns that they're receiving, they will usually, generally what they do is they build more, buy into more properties so they can get closer to the numbers, right? So that's how we've been helping investors. Right, so the last point here, secret number 3, is how do you then achieve double-digit ROI with US real estate consistently? And everything that I've shared with you earlier tonight is actually comes to this point, which is how then do you do this as a serious investment that's going to give you double-digit ROI? I've had a conversation just earlier today with someone I got to know in a workshop which I was attending. And he was, I told him that, okay, generally we are doing about 30% kind of returns in our investments. And the guy said, oh, 30%, actually it's something that I can achieve better elsewhere. When I sort of like got to speak to him a little bit more about how he's doing it, basically he's saying that he's very exposed to the Chinese market, where they where they don't care what the vehicle is, they just care about coming in first so that they can reap the earliest returns first. And then if you're coming in late, and you're not going to get kind of returns, so they're going to get very good returns from there. But coming from what he's describing, I knew what he was talking about. And in the end, he later considered saying that it is not exactly the type of investment that everybody can do or can be familiar with, right? So that's kind of challenging. Well, Linda, go ahead if you need to. We'll get in touch with you if you have any further questions right after this. So the big question is this: what are you currently invested in? Okay, share with me right now at this stage, because I want to discover a little bit about where you're at. What are you currently invested in? And maybe if you want to share, if you don't have to, you can share about how much, what kind of returns are you getting in seriously, right? So I know this is, some of us may be in fixed deposit, stocks, stocks and Forex, great. Anyone else? So what are you doing? What are you into right now? Anyone doing crypto? All right. Anyone doing investing in businesses or doing REITs? How about you guys? Come on, share with me where you're at. Okay, because this understanding this is going to help you, position your mind in terms of what US real estate can potentially do for you versus the rest of this. So understand, when I say this, when I have these pages, I'm not trying to say all of these are bad in any way, right? All of them has the good things about them that's going to help you probably in your investments and things like that. But now this stage is for you to really think whether this is something that you can help you get to your numbers, right? Okay, so you all have your targeted goals. Can you achieve it with whatever you're doing now? And what I'm guessing is, if you are in this current webinar tonight, is because you're trying to look at something else that can help you get to your numbers. So again, I always like to go back. So some of you have already shared, you want to do this for your family, for your children, for your retirement. And the numbers you're looking at is like 1 million, 1.5, and these are all very achievable. Some of you saying 10K, 12K a month, if you have the right vehicles, right? So I want to bring you through this whole idea of compounded returns. And I think it's in the investment context, this is always talked about, right? If you can harness the power of compounding returns, you can get to your numbers quicker. So let's take a look at an example of what this means, okay, how this works. If say you have $50,000 capital to start and you have 10 years to grow this money, right? Because maybe that's when you want to retire. So if you was to have if you have $50,000 and you were to invest it in an investment that's very safe, for example, and it gives you 3% returns every year, this is where your money will be at. Okay, after 10 years, your 50K is going to grow to 67,195.82. Okay, my question to you is, if you are doing 3% every year, is this going to help you get to your desired number? Okay, you don't need to answer me because this is something that you need to answer for yourself. All right. Now, let's take a look. If you are invested in a vehicle that's giving you 20% returns every year instead, and you compound it, that same money will grow to 309,586.82. Is this more interesting? Is this a more interesting number? No, it gets more interesting, right? All right. Okay, so now you start to see why the double digit becomes a lot more important. Now let's take a look what the difference will look like if that same $50,000 is put into an investment that does 30% a year, compounding. So that same 50K is not going to be 689K. It's a lot more interesting, right? It's going to help you get to your numbers earlier. And imagine the last line, I just did this last line for fun. That same 50K in 10 years compounding at 45% returns, going to grow to 2.05 million. Okay, now just entertain me here, okay, for your own sake as well. Write in the chat for me, which line do you want to be on? The orange line, the blue line, the green line, or the red line? Which line do you want to be on? Type in the chat for me. Come on, guys. Let's see if don't. I'm just hoping nobody writes the orange line. Okay. So which line do you guys want to be on? Right, it's red. Yes. Okay. Now everyone's saying red. Okay. Red will be good, but green is great too. Right. So why do I even have these lines? Is because the red line was just for fun. Why I did that is because in the year 2020, okay, the properties that we bought for flipping for our investors did an average of 45%. Okay, so this was the kind of returns that we were able to do for investors in terms of the properties that we were flipping in the year 2020. So understand that 45% is achievable, but it may not be the case all the time. All right, so maybe on some years it could be doing better than 45, on some years it could be doing lesser than 45. Okay, but where are we really operating on as a company that helps people invest in the US, right? Before that, I want to show you this. Okay, if you are deciding that, okay, real estate sounds boring, I want to go into what's trending now, I want to go into cryptos, right? So this is a report which just came out today in 6th December, which is just a few days ago. It says, talk about this particular crypto called the Army coin, okay, and this coin fluctuated 78 times its value in a day, okay, rising back and forth between $1,000 and $78,000 in minutes. Okay, so my question to you is this: so some people who are looking at this like, hey, wow, I invested in Army coin, I put in $1,000, my money went up to 78K. Interesting, right? Within minutes. So, but within that same few minutes, your same amount of money dropped back to $1,000. And my question to you is, can you stomach this kind of volatility? And is this the kind of investment that you want to put your money in for your retirement, for your children's education, for basically for you to leave a legacy to your children? Do you think this is the right kind of investment that you want to do? Okay. So now understand, the last point here is the Singapore, it says here, the Singapore regulators was that the problem is they could not stop people from buying risky assets. So, and this is extremely risky. So again, tonight, all of you are here because you want to do this for your family, you want to do this for your children. You cannot play around with investments, right? You want to make serious considerations to do that. And in order to grow your numbers, we have seen the graphs earlier, you need to ensure you're doing double-digit returns consistently. Okay, so how do we help you get there, right? For you to get there, you need to achieve this. You need to have consistency. The investment needs to be repeatable, and it needs to be predictable. Okay, for you to get to that huge line is for you to be able to achieve this double-digit returns that is consistent, repeatable, and predictable, which means before you buy into this property, you already know that you can do double digits. Okay, that's where we are coming to you from. Right, so because these are our targeted returns, when we do flipping properties, when we are buying into a flip property for you, we will only buy into a property that does minimum 30% returns. Okay, and if it's going to be a rental property, we're going to the property has to project a minimum of 10% rental yield. If it's going to be an Airbnb project, it's going to be minimum 15%. So if these properties are not going to achieve any of these numbers projected, we're not going to show this to you as an investor for you to buy. Right, you guys get it? So if it's not going to be double-digit returns, it's not something that we're going to be doing for you, right? So remember, this was one of the examples that we did for rental property, 145K. So imagine now you're an investor, we show this to you, hey, look, this is a property which we can project to do 13.89%. If this is something that you want to look at and then go ahead and invest, you can do that, right? So this is how we do. So properties like this do 13.89%. So again, double-digit returns, right? This is what the property looks like if you were to buy a property. This was acquired at the auctions. Again, in the interior looks horrible, looks bad. So we needed to do the rehabs. This is what Noble Sky does for you as well as an investor. Remember, ease of acquisition, ease of investment basically means you do not need to do anything yourself. Noble Sky takes care of all of this for you. And now the property is up and done and ready. This is what it looks like on the inside after the full rehab. Okay, I love this whole view because now suddenly it looks so much nicer compared to the acquisition photo. It looks so horrible, right? So this is the kind of works that we do for investors, so that now a tenant can come in happy and pay their rent because they love how it looks like. It's very livable, and that's what we do for investors. Okay. This is Mr. Kamruzaman Ghaffar from Singapore. This is what he had to say. He started since 2018 dealing with Noble Sky International. He started out doing flipping properties first. So after he made some profits over the last 2 years, he mentioned in the year 2020, he decided to increase his portfolio and included rental property as part of his portfolio. So a lot of the investors that you have seen who came in 2017, 2018, a lot of them are still here with us today because they are growing their portfolio, because they see how double-digit returns is the way to go, and it's been very consistent, helping them to achieve to their numbers. Okay, remember if your 50K over 10 years, you want it to grow faster, you need to do double digit, right? So of course, for these people, they've been buying into more properties, and you can do that too as well. And we're going to share with you, of course, how you can do that if you decide to come on board doing US real estate. Okay, I'll share with you a short video of how we did in 2019. We brought a few investors into the US on a learning journey. So we had 15 investors from Indonesia, Malaysia, Indonesia, as well as Vietnam, joining us in Houston, Texas. We brought them around, let them see how we work on the ground on the properties that they have bought into. Okay, so this is a short video for you to take a look. All right, so we brought them around, the investors, we brought them around to take a look at some of the properties. And this last property, which you saw in the video, was a very nice property, which the investors, they came along, they got very excited because they said, hey, this property is actually for sale. The realtor actually followed us to view this property, and they wanted Noble Sky to run the numbers for them, okay, because they were interested to buy. And this was what we came up for them. Okay. This property was really good. It was already very nicely done up. We didn't need to do any rehab works and all that. So we told them, okay, let's take a look at the numbers, see whether this makes sense. All right. So this property, which the investors saw, is what is being sold from motivated sellers. It was children who had inherited this property from their parents who had passed on. They were not interested to make lots of money from here. They wanted to liquidate so that they can distribute the monies. So they were selling it at below market value. So we stuck to the same principle. We need to buy property at below market value. So this was the numbers that it looked like. Okay, it had the market value of $370,000. This property in Houston, Texas. Acquisition was $270K. It's not as cheap as the auction properties, right? At $270K, but understand this property is in great condition. It didn't need any rehab works at all. But we also ran the research which showed that in the area, it was in an A grade neighborhood, which has a lot of demand for Airbnb. Okay, what we needed to do for Airbnb was basically put in furnishings, $10,000 worth of furnishings and any other miscellaneous expenses that go into this, require a total expense of 285K. So even then, at 285K, it gave us a very healthy equity of $85,000. But this property was not sold. If we sold this property, which means we can potentially make the 85K, right? But that's not what we wanted to do. We told the investors the strategy for this would be to put it up for Airbnb. It's going to give you about $45,000 of rental income in a year. It's going to give you 15.79% on your money. Okay, so this is what the property looked like on the inside. The property was already, everything was already good, so we put in all of the furnishings and all that to prepare for the guests to come in. Okay, the new television, furnitures did not be new because people are going to come in and lie down and sit on them. So we bought second-hand properties and second-hand furnishings, but electronics had to be brand new, so we got the warranties. So this is how it looks like on the inside, and then we started to put it up for Airbnbs when the market was ready, and we put this up for Airbnb. This is what the kind of income that we were doing for this particular property. Right? Let's take a look. In August, we did 498. That's when we first started out this property. And then September, we did 4801, October 3768, November 4796. What you're looking at on the left-hand side is the dashboard, the Airbnb dashboard, which shows the income for that month. Okay, and then we had December 4110. January, there was a dip because it so happened that in January 2021 also happened to be the COVID numbers went up. The government told people not to travel very much, so the numbers went down for a bit. But then in February, the numbers went up again, after the numbers stabilized, then the income came in again at 7654. March did 9394, doing better. April again, COVID numbers going up, people travel a little bit lesser, but we still made good income from there. In May, we did 5 figures at 10,541, June 7230, July 7421. So we took a 12-month snapshot of what this property was doing for the investor and look at the amount of income that was done for this particular property. So we did $71,000 in a 12-month period. And can you guys remember what was the projected income for this property? And anyone remember what was the number? What was the projected income we did for this property when we first told the investors, if you want to buy, this is the projected income? Any of you can remember? Okay, well, you missed that one. 15.7% was the ROI, but the income number was 45,000. That's what we projected for them, but we did better than 45K. We did 71.06 thousand in that year, and this converted to about 25.95% returns. So this was a very good return, and of course the investors in this property were very happy. We projected for them 15%, but we're doing about 25% for them. Okay, so again, remember double-digit returns. That's where we want to be for your investments to make sure that you can achieve your financial goals faster. Okay, so this is the trend in Airbnb. I know some of you probably are thinking, are you sure with all of this COVID, why would people want to travel? But the reality is this: there's a shift, and what we're looking at is a major shift in the Airbnb traveling habit in the US, because people can now work and school and even especially work. They can do this from home, right? And a lot of us, even in our own country, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, we're doing that more now. So because of that, now what they're seeing is a lot more people are starting to travel on Airbnbs. Okay, because they don't want to go to hotels and mix up with other people they don't know, so they would rather stick with their families. They go to Airbnbs. Next thing is about these 60% of them are long-term stays, and this long-term stays equates to 28 nights or longer. Because now what people can do is I can travel and have a holiday with my family maybe in some areas with some attraction, with some maybe in the countryside and Airbnb, and I can still do my work. My boss is not going to be bothered that I'm not in the office. So you guys get this. So this is a changing trend in the US, and this has been doing very well for us. All right. So currently we have 4 Airbnb properties running for our investors, and they're getting their monthly income from there. All right. So the next point, just to hit the nail home, is that this was just a few days ago. Bill Gates said that virtual meetings will be the future in the next 3 years. Virtual reality meetings and all that. So what does this mean? If someone like Bill Gates is saying, right, the future of meetings is going to be virtual meetings, will this mean that you need to be in the office, or you can just do it from home? Type in for me the chat. Office or home? Come on, who else has an idea? Home. Yes, okay. So great. Thanks, Katisu and Kelvin. And in fact, anyway, that's right. Kelvin is right. So because the future of meetings especially can be done virtually, right? It's not even Zoom anymore, it's virtual, which means now you're going to have your virtual body and then people are going to be able to meet there. You don't need to be in the office. So understand, Airbnb is going to be even more popular then, because people can be from anywhere and stay for long periods of time and still be able to get their work done and things like that. So Airbnb is as a trend, is there to stay, and something that we're taking advantage of a lot for our investors. All right, so at this stage, which do you prefer? You have seen all the strategies. All of them give you good double-digit returns. Question is, which one do you want to do? Okay, if you're going to be able to start to invest in the US. You want to do Airbnb? Do you want to do rental, flipping? Now, which one do you guys want to do? Or do you want to do all of the above? Get this, yeah, all three possible. Yeah, Kelvin says all. Anyone else has a thought? Doris says all. Right. So personally, for me, I decided that all was the way to go as well. If I wanted to diversify in US real estate, I wanted to put my money in all different strategies, right? So I have in my own portfolio Airbnbs, rental, as well as flipping, right? So I'm getting double-digit returns in all of my portfolios, in all of the properties. And it makes a lot of sense because now I'm realizing that I can get to my retirement numbers faster. Okay, so I hope you guys see where we are at. Okay, so this is where what we have learned so far to this stage. I'm about to conclude the night already. Thank you so much for staying put through the night with me. This is what we have done so far. Secret number one is how to buy US real estate at 70 to 80%. We do this through the auctions and wholesales, for example. Number two is how do you legally get set up? So you understand the structure already. Business structures are set up so that you can first protect yourself from liability, you can have more tax efficiency, and you can easily buy without having to fly to the US. And then number three is how do you achieve double-digit returns with US real estate consistently. So the keyword here is not just about double-digit, it's about consistently. Okay, this is what we were able to do with US real estate. So my question to you is, are you ready for more? If you are, type in yes in the chat with me, for me, so that I can give you just a little bit more before we conclude. Yes? Yes? Okay, all right. Great. Okay, so you guys want more, right? So I do definitely want to give you more. And I know you guys are excited. A lot of you have seen that, wow, this is something that I can do. So I want to give you more. And very simply, this is what I need you to do. If you can basically share what you're excited about by what you have learned tonight, okay, and the new possibilities that you have learned, simply do this for me. I want to send to you tonight's webinar replay so you can review what you have done tonight. Okay, there's nothing for me to sell to you. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going to give you, if you do for me in exchange something very simple. Our mission, if you can see here, is because we have US real estate as a vehicle, we can help more people to achieve their financial goals earlier and faster. How we've been doing the investments in the US for the past 7 years, that strategy is there to stay because we buy in a much more secure manner. So it's been helping a lot of people achieve their numbers faster. And I see this as how I want to do it as well. And if it's something that you want to do, then, help us help others as well. What you need to do is basically, I want to give you the webinar replay. I want to give you these resources and the research criteria, how we get set up. And the last resource is very, very valuable is because this will contain 3 properties that Noble Sky as a company has already done research on. And this will show you exactly what it looks like on the inside, a property, what is the acquisition cost, what is the surrounding area, how we come up with the pricing, what is the strategy for these properties. These are actual properties on the ground that we have researched on. And this will go only to paying clients of ours. Okay, but tonight you don't need to be a paying client at all. We're not selling you anything or any service, but we want you to have this in hand so that you can actually gain a lot of clarity based on what I've told you tonight. In this resource that you're going to look at, it's going to make a lot of sense, and you realize, okay, this is what it means to buy a property in the US, and that's how you're going to be able to buy more of this so that you can get to your numbers. All right, so simply what you need to do is just send us a review on what you have learned tonight, what has been the learning lesson for you. So when you do this, when you share it out in your own social media or minimally in Google review or Facebook review, it will help us strengthen our position as an education provider, as a service provider in managing US real estate to help more people achieve their financial goals. And that's all we want to achieve in tonight's session, okay? So I'm gonna give you just 2 minutes, all right? Do this for me, and we're gonna send to you this downloads immediately once you're able to do that. Just let us know once you do it, we'll be able to pick it up. Once you do it, right, just send in the chat here that you have done it. And then my team in the back end will send you the download link, and you can download these resources immediately. Okay, so you just take the next 2 minutes to do this. So at least you don't walk away empty-handed tonight. This is something you can take on and take a look for yourself and understand how this is going to work for you. There is, as I mentioned, if we're about to conclude already, I have nothing that I'm selling to you tonight. This is just really for you to gain your clarity. All right, so let me know if you're done already, so that we can move on to the last part of this webinar tonight. Okay, just 1 more minute on the clock. Okay, if you guys are doing it, let me know so that we can keep you, can wait up for you for a little bit. Okay. All right, so just 1 minute on the clock. Go ahead and finish up the reviews if you're doing it. Get your hands on this. Kiatisuk, thank you so much for doing the review. Where did you put in the review? Was it Google or on your social media? Anyway, team, do get in touch privately. Thank you. Oh, right, Facebook, great. So my team, please get in touch, Mr. Kiatisuk, in a private message, send him the download link. So we need to fulfill our promise, which is only if you do this on our behalf to help more people out there, then we're going to give you this link. You're going to get the Google review. Okay, thank you, Malin, for the review as well. So we will send to you if you do it. Of course, this is a bonus for those of you who are helping us as well. And we thank you. We're so grateful to you who are tuning in tonight, helping us, spread this mission as well to help more people invest and grow their money, reach their financial goals for their families, for their retirement, and what we've already discussed earlier. Right, thank you so much for those of you. So we're going to move on to conclude to the last part of this. I'm just going to share with you this. So with US real estate, you can achieve double-digit ROI consistently. The question is, can you do this on your own? Just want you to take a listen to what Datuk Sri Paul Chong, how he's been able to enjoy returns from 13 properties that he bought, each giving him double-digit returns. All right, Kelvin, thank you so much as well for the Google review. Team, please get in touch with them privately to send them the download links. So how we made life easy for Datuk Sri Paul Chong. Just take a listen to what he has to say, all right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul Chong from Malaysia. As the former CEO of a global investment bank, a private equity fund manager, a lawyer and an accountant, I'm well versed with investment models. Today, I want to share my experience in partnering with Rauf Said and Noble Sky International in an effort to build my real estate portfolio, especially in a country that I cannot conveniently reach or be in at all times, such as the United States. For my business and career, I'm based both in Hong Kong and Malaysia, but I've lived and worked in major financial centers around the world, including London and New York. So I know how expensive things can be in order for us to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. I got to know Rauf when I was attending his event back in 2018. Now, this was really a bizarre chance meeting. Back in 1995, I was a poor MBA student at Wharton, and I had to work part-time for $4 an hour, collecting information on property foreclosures and tax liens by going through, tons of records in public libraries in the US. I was working for a real estate investment company then. Now, they didn't tell me what all these were for. All I needed to know was get the information for $4 an hour. And then Rauf's advertisement on tax liens caught me by surprise. I said, my God, this was 23 years ago when I was blindly collecting, market data, not knowing what my employer was going to do with them. And now Rauf will tell me. So from that chance meeting, we went on to talk about things beyond tax liens into actual real estate investments. Now, I'm a Chinese person, and I'm a firm believer in real estate. Ironically, despite me being a Wall Street investment banker, some 80% of my net worth is in real estate. I have property interests in the United States, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, all of which I had to manage personally. Now you can imagine the pain I go through every year when tax season arrives, right? Because reporting the rental income, the depreciation, the expenses, on all these properties across 6 countries around the world, it's a nightmare. I even have Deloitte do my tax returns for me, right? One of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. Then Ralph offered me something I found very, very useful. A professional team that will help me manage at least one of the countries that I'm invested in, the United States. From search to acquisition, from refurbishment to letting and sale. It's something that also can be structured on a profit-sharing basis. Now, as an investment banker, I love profit-sharing schemes because that gives my partner, in this case, Noble Sky, the utmost incentive to do the best they can, to realize the highest profit they can, rather than working for me or with me for a fixed fee. As a foreigner in the United States, I'm now assured that I can safely and comfortably own many properties in the United States, even without stepping foot, in the US. Noble Sky offered a business model that makes perfect sense to me. And that part of my business is now, if you like, run by a professional team that does not need my input or time at all. So I get time to focus on other businesses and family. Say, the 3 things that I value in them. Number 1 is their presence in the United States. I made a mistake previously buying half an office block in Melbourne, totally unseen. So my friend and I were sharing this, and we the realtor or the real estate broker showed us the building on Google Earth. We signed it, cut them a check while we were in Hong Kong, and that was it, right? That turned out to be a bit of a mistake because nothing beats what we call shoe leather investment in real estate. The ability to walk the streets, search the local databases, compare transactions across similar properties, understanding the local market, talking to local realtors, right? Getting a deep sense of the community, the demographics, and so on. So that is important. Number 2, Ralph has a professional team that is highly experienced, not just as buyers, but as a team that can pull together the required labor and professionals for the renovation, refurbishment, and the ultimate sale, all at acceptable costs. And finally, what I find truly intoxicating is the drive that I see in Ralph and his team. They work tirelessly to manage, their property portfolio for us, and more importantly, their business acumen, the ability to time sales and at what we call optimum prices. Now, you may not want to sell properties at the highest possible prices at all times. There may be circumstances where you do wholesale deals. You make 3% less, but you make it 6 months sooner, and that's going to increase your internal rate of return tremendously. So it is this balance, right? The ability to read the market, not just buying at the lowest price and selling at the highest price and wait until the cows come home, but to time purchases and sales accordingly. That is one of Ralph's expertise. So since 2018, my group of investors in Noble Sky, under Ralph's guidance, have acquired 13 properties in New York and Florida states combined. Some of these we have achieved exits with fantastic returns. To draw an example, 6 of the properties we sold in Florida made us between 30 to 59% profit. And the 3 we sold in New York State, we were very happy with the exit, and one of them made us 85% in profits. So I want to thank Ralph, ICE, and the Noble Sky team.
All right, so that's quite a long testimony from Datuk Sri Paul Chong. He's a very, very well-established investor based in Malaysia. So you can actually look him up on LinkedIn, Datuk Sri Paul Chong. So this is how we've made life easy for him, and potentially what we can do for you as well. You can enjoy your double-digit returns based on what for himself. He's very busy. He's got so many properties. So we're helping him manage all of it on his behalf. All right. So if this is something that you want to achieve as well, you can do it. Not an issue whether you got smaller capital or bigger capital. You want to start 1 property, 13 properties. it can be done
Ladies-
as well, right? So this is where we're at. Noble Sky is the only company in Asia that helps people invest in the US real estate that is in a safe, secure, and profitable manner. Right? You probably won't be able to find any other service provider that does the same. It gives you the same access to US real estate. If you want to find someone who does what we do, basically you just need to look it up in the US. There's a lot of US-based companies that's going to do that for you, manage everything for you, but understand they do not have the foreigner perspective. They do not know the difficulties or the challenges that the foreign investor faces. And because we've had more than 300 investors from around the region doing this, we are very, very well aware and well tuned with what issues are being faced. And we set things up the way you've seen it, right? It's extremely tax efficient for a foreign investor. So that's exactly where we're at. So if you like US real estate and you want to be able to achieve the kind of returns, then this is, remember, the kind of returns like this is where you want to be able to grow your money. We can help you, okay, but we can only work with people who meets a few criteria, okay? So we've been, as I mentioned, we've had like 300 clients, we've been doing this for them and all that, but not everybody is a good fit for us to work with, and we have found that the hard way. So now we're very picky with who we work with, and we will help you get to your numbers. We will help you to invest in the US, but only if you meet these few criteria. And this is what you need to first and foremost look at, right? First, you need to, of course, believe that US real estate can give you superior returns and can help you achieve your financial goals. Okay, first and foremost, if you don't believe this, if you think that any other vehicle can help you do better, can help you give consistent double-digit returns, then by all means, we're not going to stop you from going there. So the general idea is, if you want to look at investments seriously, then remember you need to look at consistency, repeatability, and you can predict these numbers. All right. So if you believe that is the case, then this is someone whom we can potentially work with. Point number two, you are willing to work in partnership with Noble Sky. As a company, we will work with you in partnership and run this investment for you in the US. And you have to trust that we're going to help you in our best interest to give you the kind of results that you see all the other investors in tonight's webinar, how the kind of returns they've been able to achieve. We will work in partnership. If you're someone who would rather do everything yourself, then by all means, you can go ahead and do that yourself as well. We'll be happy to give you some guidance, but that's not how you're going to be able to get to your numbers very quickly as well. Right. Importantly, the point number three is your mindset. You need to have a mindset of an investor and a businessman. So if you have noticed, real estate is a hard asset. It's an actual asset. You can touch and feel and smell and taste it even, right? Which also means that it requires work to be done. Right, so unlike crypto, which is digital, unlike the stock market, which is all digital in nature, you don't touch and feel. Properties, in order for you to get to your very nice, consistent project returns, double-digit returns, real work need to be done, and Noble Sky will do the work for you. But it being run as a business, you got to understand as well that sometimes not everything works in your favor. Sometimes certain policies change. Sometimes the labor market gets a little bit more expensive. So we need to work things around to make sure you get to your double-digit returns. So you got to trust us to do that, and you need to have that mindset to understand, yeah, this is realities on the ground, and Noble Sky is going to help me overcome and help you continue to get your numbers, right? The last point, which is very important, you need to take a long-term view on real estate investing in the US. What I mean by this is, all right, although you can do good double-digit numbers, right? Remember compounding. If you have a certain capital that you're starting out with, in order for you to really get to your numbers seriously, as a serious investment, you need to take a long-term view. Can you decide to get out, exit after 1 year? Yes, you can. After 2 years, yes, you can. But if you're in there just for this very short term, it's probably not going to help you get to your numbers as much as you want. So a lot of the investors that you have seen in our webinars tonight, they've stayed with us to 3 years to 4 years, right? Because they're continuing to build on their portfolio. They've been receiving good returns. They want to continue to do that. So how do you then get us to assist you to do all of this? Basically, as I mentioned to you, there's nothing for me to sell to you. We'll only work with you if you meet these criteria that I've shared with you. My team, please share the link, just a form that I need you to fill up for you to give us more information about yourselves. All right. Why we need this is so that we can determine whether you are a good fit for us to work with you. Right, so that's the link in the chat. You can click on it. It's a very simple Google form. Probably just going to take you about 3 minutes to complete it. Okay, you can take the time to do it tonight. If you want to do it right now, you can go ahead as well. Just click on the form right now. That the link is in the chat. this form is going to contain information that's going to help us understand you better. What are your investment goals? What are your expectations? And then from there, we'll get back to you, not tonight for sure. The team has been working very hard in December. So we'll need some time, probably by the end of tomorrow, after we've sieved through some of your responses. Then we're going to contact you based on your responses. So if we see that you are a good fit, they will get in touch with you. If, say, we look at it and maybe you're giving us things like very unrealistic returns. Say you say, I want to start with $10,000, but within 5 years, I want to make it grow to $1 million. Then I will say that's pretty unrealistic, and probably we won't be able to help you. But if your responses are going to show us that it's going to be realistic, it's going to be something that we are able to help you, we're able to serve you, then maybe it's something that we can work together with. Then we'll get on a call with you and we'll show you how it looks like being a client with Noble Sky. All right. So again, today I've come to the end of my webinar already. I've got nothing to sell to you. I hope I haven't disappointed you. Some people coming in, I know they're expecting that you can buy something at the end of the webinar. So I got nothing to sell to you. I'm sorry about that. But you can still consider working with us to get into Airbnbs, to get into rentals, to get into flipping. You know, you can start out, in fact, as early as we have some properties already. We're trying to close on them. Potentially you can get on them already before the end of 2021. All right, but you need to just basically fill out the form and let us know. So if you are done with filling up the form, Kiatisuk, you're asking whether you can ask. Yeah, so before you come in tonight's webinar, I think someone would have sent you some WhatsApp messages to remind you to attend. You can get in touch with that number as well. They are our consultants. You can ask your questions there. I will be happy to answer them. But do fill in the form as well, so we get to know you better. We get to know your goals, and then we'll be in touch, right, to see whether we can work together or not. Right. So let me know if you're done with the form. And at this stage, I'm done. Okay, for tonight, I thank you so much for spending the last I think 2 hours with me. It's a Thursday night. I know it's a working night for some of you, and some of you maybe it's a holiday. I don't know if any of you are in your Airbnbs right now with your family, and you're actually listening into this and taking time away from your family. But that shows a lot of commitment on your part if that's what you're doing towards your own investment goals or investment objectives. Right. So I hope we can be able to help you get to your numbers by using US Real Estate. Right, so I'm just going to give about 2 minutes on the clock for you to fill out the form. Otherwise, you can take your time to do it as well. But by the time tomorrow, by the time we finish looking at all of it, then we'll make a decision. Probably somewhere end of tomorrow, then we can get back to you. All right, now I just want to take 2 minutes. Any burning questions that you have right now that you want to ask, go ahead and ask them in the chat. I can address them now. Otherwise, you can also get in touch with the number that has been in touch with you to ask any of the questions that you may have. All right. Okay, so 2 minutes. The team, just take note. We'll just see if there's any questions that come up. We hope we can address them. So for the rest of you, I think Veronique, just if you can paste the link again to the form in the chat, so they can click on it and just take their time to fill it up. So Mr. Kiatisuk, again. Go ahead and fill in the form if you think that you want to work with us. We'll be happy to look at where you're at, where you want to be, and then whether it's something that we can work on with you guys. Right. So, right, 1 more minute on the clock. Thank you so much. We have Farhana, we have Joyanto, or the scrolling too fast on the names. Kelvin, Kiatisuk, Muhammad Malim, Nuruddin, Osman, Hazik. The rest of you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for your time tonight. It's a beautiful time of the year. I know it's a holiday season and holiday period in Singapore. We are still not able to travel that freely yet. Yeah, okay, Kiatisuk, thank you. Yes, we'll be in touch with you as well. You know, if you're traveling anywhere, be safe. Right, and have lots of fun with your family and all that. You know, come back strong in 2022, especially if you have not yet achieved your numbers, desired numbers in 2021. You know, I think a lot of people started to try out their hands on crypto, on NFTs and all that. Some people made some money, but some people also lost quite a bit of money. I've people in my circle who have actually, you know, encountered losses. And maybe if it's time for you to regroup and rethink your strategies for investing in 2022, then I'm hoping tonight has given you, shed some light on how US Real Estate is going to be able to help you get there. And then, we'll be happy if that's potentially something that we can do. So the rest of you as well, if you have not done this and if you still want to do that, we'll be happy to receive your reviews, things that you have learned. Go ahead and do this. If you're doing your social media, just take a photo of this webinar that's going on right now. Maybe you can see my photo in small corner and then just give me some support in your social media saying what you have learned. Give us the support of wanting to help other people as well to achieve their financial goals through US real estate, right? So this is where we're at. We'll send you the webinar replay. So those of you who have given us the review, webinar replay will only be sent to you once we have completed tonight's session. We have edited a little bit of the front and end side of this video, and then we'll give you the link once it's ready. All right. So other than that, thank you so much again for your time. It's been a beautiful time of the year, and the past 2 hours has been really fun. I hope you guys have actually done something. Okay. Any other questions that you may have, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to end in just 1 minute. Okay. Questions, go ahead and ask, or if you want to put in your review, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to be ending soon, and yeah, so I can release you and back to your families and back to your happy lives. All right. So yeah, just less than a minute left on the clock. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me. It's really my pleasure every time I come on board sharing this, because I know that people who have got started, it's helped them a lot in finally having a vehicle that can help them get to their goals. All right. So this is where we're at, and yeah, that's what we're doing. Right. So if you want to as well, do follow us on our social medias. We have Noble Sky International is on Facebook, on Instagram. We are on LinkedIn. We are even on TikTok. So go ahead and check us out in these places. We are known by the same name, Noble Sky International. Go ahead and follow us there as well. All right. So thank you so much again for your time. Again. Thank you for spending the time here. I hope you've gained lots of value from here. Those of you who've done your reviews, do ensure that you get your downloads and skim through them. Questions, our numbers are everywhere for you to get in touch with us. All right. So again, good night, everyone. See you soon, and maybe see you in the new year, right? Or if you come on board with us as clients. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.